When God asks us to lead, we can sometimes find ourselves waiting until we are old enough and ready. But God doesn't see our youth as reason to wait. Throughout history, young leaders have quietly but profoundly shaped the world around them. That's because God's leadership and empowerment isn't about rising in ambition or titles, but about influence that shapes generations. If we want to become true leaders, we need to grow in discipline and allow God to develop us. Let's discover how God develops leaders through the story of Joshua. Obedience. Before we can become great leaders, we must first learn to obey. God's will is often revealed through His authorities. When we practice obedience to God and our God-given authorities, it develops in us the right attitude and understanding of what it means to lead others. In his youth, Joshua witnessed firsthand the importance of obedience and submission through the life of Moses. Joshua learned that victory comes through faithful obedience to both God and godly leadership. Faith. Obedience to authorities isn't always easy, but in these moments, God calls us to remember the object of our faith, God Himself, and to trust that He rewards those who seek Him. Great leaders don't put their faith in circumstances, but on God's character and promise. When Moses sent 12 spies into the Promised Land, 10 saw only giants and obstacles, concluding that defeat was certain. But Joshua and Caleb saw the same giants through eyes of faith. Their faith and confidence in God's power set them apart, even when others wanted to stone them. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the strength to do what is right despite it. It is choosing to act in faith, trusting God's power and leaving the results to Him. After Moses' death, Joshua needed courage to lead Israel. God assured him of His presence and victory, saying, "Be strong and courageous." When faced with Jericho, Joshua obeyed God's unusual command to march around the city for 7 days. On the 7th day, after the final shout, the walls fell. When God calls us, He already knows all our fears and anxieties, but true courage is trusting and obeying God even when His plan seems impossible. Courage grows when we walk by faith, not fear. Consecrate after experiencing defeat. God told Israel to consecrate themselves by surrendering everything that dishonored God. Israel could not stand against their enemies while holding on to what displeased God. Consecration means full devotion, obedience, faith, and courage. We need to ask ourselves, do we choose our hidden idols over God? We cannot be leaders for God's glory if we don't give our all to Him. Joshua's story reminds us that God develops leaders not overnight, but through a process of obedience, faith, courage, and consecration. If this message spoke to your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Jesus Christ Chronicle. Let's keep learning how to walk in God's calling and lead with the heart of a servant, just like Joshua.